Hi, Brian, Nico, Dustin, and Mike. Lindsley Registry here. Love every opportunity I can to talk about the show. I miss it so much. Don't go out there.
They've conquered the big screen. Now, get ready for the spin-off sure to send chills down your spine. It's Nico, Brian, Mike, and Dustin in Don't Go Out There, the series.
Welcome back, everybody, to DGOT, the series. We really appreciate y'all listening. We hope y'all have been enjoying these series reviews. I know we have. It's been a lot of fun. Just want to give a quick shout out to our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Everything about our podcast is on the website. All of our episodes and interviews, if you want to check those out. We've done some incredible interviews in the past. Go check them out there in a specific tab by themselves so you don't have to scroll through hundreds of episodes on Apple or Spotify, etc. We also have our store if you want to grab a shirt, a mouse pad, a hat, all that good stuff. We'd love to see your pictures, rep your favorite podcast. And Shan's Etsy page is also attached if you want to grab a tumbler. All of our social media links are on there as well. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. Like us, subscribe us, follow us, all that good stuff. And the last thing I'm going to shout out on our website is our Patreon. We call it Blood Donors. We have the traditional monthly reoccurring kind. If you want to support us, help us pay the bills, as we say. Or if there's a movie you want us to review, that option is available as well. Just check out our website, don'tgoouthere.com. Also, if you haven't noticed, we've recently joined the Believe Network. So there's some ads on our program now. But if you want ad-free content, go check us out on Blood Donors. The ad-free episodes will be available there. We appreciate your support. We continue on with The Last of Us Season 1. We're taking on episodes 2 and 3 this week. Brian, this is your series pick. Do you just want to give your general thoughts on the 2 episodes before we get into the scene by scene?
I liked both the episodes. While I do agree that episode 3 is a mixed bag, I mean, it does end up making more sense in the grand scheme of things once you've watched the whole season. And once I did, I actually grew to really like this one as well. Now, I will say, its runtime is way too long, episode 3. I mean, we probably should have done it by itself, if I'm being honest, but come on. There's zero reason for it to be the longest in the entire series and feature the least amount of screen time for the main characters. But overall, I mean, as two episodes, 2 good episodes. Again, you're not going to get me probably to say a whole lot of bad about this particular season. Now, I probably will have to call in and use some PTO for season 2 if we ever pick it. But this season is really good.
All right. Through these first 3 episodes, if I'm just being honest, I was just watching at home. I probably would just stop. Like, I'm just not that invested yet. And I'm really glad, Brian, you picked this without seeing it at first, so I'm not hurting your feelings or, like, crapping on one of your favorite series. But I kind of feel like you two guys with Bates Motel right now, I just don't care. And the story is just not moving, like, at all. Even episode 2, like, it's like 59 minutes long, and, like, we're just walking through like an old rundown hotel and they finally blow it up at the end. I don't know. It's just moving at a glacial pace. And episode 3 is just it's an hour and 16 minutes, I think, hour, 20 minutes. And it has 2 characters who are in one episode, this episode only for the entire season. And it tells their whole like story, biography. And it's like, and I have not seen the rest of the season. So it just felt like a wasted episode to me. But that's in this first 3 episode span, not the entire grand scheme of things like you mentioned. So I'm hoping it gets better, but I really feel like the show peaked in the first 30 minutes of episode 1. But I hope it gets better. I'm just going to leave it at that.
I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not that integral. I mean, it's not an hour and 20 minutes of an episode integral to the season. Like, it could have just been a 30-minute episode, in my opinion.
I agree, Nico. I found myself, at least through like a good chunk of episode 2, just like not caring. Yeah. If I was watching this, I wanted to tap in when I saw the whole timeline talking about it as it was happening week to week, but I just never did because I was like, I didn't, like I said before, I didn't play the video game, and it's not necessary for me to watch this unless we pick it on the show. Which we weren't even doing series at that point. But anyway, if I was doing that, if I was tuning in every Sunday night on HBO to watch it, I'd probably give up. I would have probably punted. That being said, I do think that by the end of episode 3, I am more invested in this story. Not necessarily the story, because still don't really know what's going on. Like, he's going to go out to Wyoming or wherever it was to try to find his brother. Okay, but like, so is this whole show just going to be moving from place to place? That's fine, but the issue that I have with that is, did episode 3, did we even see any infecteds? Like, I can't.
There was one that got caught in his traps that he was laughing about. I think I can recall.
Yeah, I think you're right. So it was still like Walking Dead. They would have these side stories, and I hate to compare the two because they're vastly different. But The Walking Dead, we would have these side stories and character development missions, but we still had a healthy threat of walkers and other groups basically at all times. This one, particularly, I guess, in episode 3, we didn't. It's like we forgot what was really going on. It was more of a love drama, an apocalyptic love story. Now, that being said, call me crazy, I thought episode 3 was the best episode that we've done so far. It may not mean as much to the whole story as some of the other stuff we've seen, but as far as what we did see happen in that episode and the magnitude of it, like just put myself in those shoes, like, the world's ended. I've built a fence around my community and I'm going to be alone till I die. But then you find someone who falls into one of your traps and you built this connection, and just seeing the years play out, I thought it was a really good episode. But I didn't even know. I didn't look ahead like Nico. I didn't know that this is the only episode they're in. And so that kind of like sours it a little bit for me. But then again, like you said, Brian, it does come into play. Like, it matters. What we see matters later on. So it's not all for naught, I guess. But then jumping back to the other side of it, okay, then why do we have to see an hour and a half of it almost? So I don't know. I think it's a very unbalanced show. There's just a lot that I do not care about. But, man, the stuff that I do care about is so well done. So, I don't know. I'm gonna give it high marks. I can't see myself giving this season a low score when we're done with it, just because it all is really well made. It's just failing to make me have to tune into the next episode.
You brought up Walking Dead, so let's talk about that. I mean, Walking Dead, it's just like any season. They all have filler episodes, and we talk about that every time we do one. And this is integral, but you could also throw it in the filler episode category, I would say. But the difference is, Walking Dead's episode is not feature film length when it is a film, where when it is one. And it's just, I'm not saying this is bad, but it's too fucking long. And maybe it's the fact that we did 2 of these together and we should have done it by itself like we did the opening one. I don't know. But I was dying for this to get over with by the time I was.
Well, and not only that, Nico, you said it. I feel the same way. This show peaked in its first 30 minutes. I don't think that I'm going to care about anything as much as I did those first 30 minutes. When you add up the runtime of the entire season, that means that, just like your boy here, they blew their load in the first 5%. I'm used to that, but I don't want it in my television.
Oh my God! All right. On that note,
Dave Chappelle. I hate when they tell me when to come. I like when they tell me where to come. No, but on a serious note, I addressed something you talk about, Dustin. I read some IMDb reviews because I don't read Letterboxd reviews anymore. They just all piss me off at this point. But one person who was positive of episode 3 made a good point. They gave like the hopeful side of the zombie apocalypse that we don't see. Like, there's joy. You can still find the life. Like Dale's happy-go-lucky ass in season 2 of Walking Dead. You can still find joy. You can still find life. And, these 2 guys did, and that's fine. And another thing that I addressed in this is, this might have been a lot better to me if I saw it week to week and not knowing everything. Because, I already know what's going to happen at the end of season 2. The whole timeline was freaking out. You know what I'm saying? And another thing that doesn't really help is Ellie's annoying as fuck. But go ahead, we can get into
God,
the scene,
bro.
episode 2.
So annoying, dude. Well, let's get into the scene by scene here, because I got a lot of scene by scene. And listen, if you're mad about the amount that I'm talking, talk to Mike. Mike split up the scene by scene at Settle ML92. So get mad at him, not me. Right off the bat, it's flashback o'clock as we open up in Jakarta, Indonesia in 2003 with mycologist Ratna Pertiwi enjoying lunch at a local cafe. The authorities abruptly escort her to a private laboratory, implying they require her academic expertise in mycology, and they prompt her to view a prepared specimen. She concludes that it is Ophiocordyceps, and the man informs her that it is from a human, to which she is obviously skeptical. So they allow her to closely examine the infected woman, yay for her. And listen, we as a family have already discussed hard nipples on dead bodies and the realism associated with that. So, hear that very philosophical discussion over at don'tgooutthere.com on the series show, I believe. But anyway, Ratna is horrified when she extracts tendrils from the woman's mouth. The authorities inform her that the incident began at a flour mill where 14 workers have gone missing and ask for her guidance to avoid the spread. In shock, she suggests they bomb the entire city, killing everyone inside. She then becomes very emotional, asking to be with her family. We get the credits and we jump back to 2013, where we see Ellie sleeping on the ground in an abandoned building. Joel and Tess watch her as she wakes, both holding her at gunpoint, wondering if she's going to turn. When she doesn't, they start to further discuss it into the next set of scenes.
Yeah, I don't have a ton on this opening set, but first thing I wrote was recap. I know Dustin hated this because recaps are just filler, right? But anywho, I'm just kidding.
Let me tell you something. I watched the episode, okay? You don't have to tell me again.
This isn't fair, but as soon as I saw we were in Jakarta, I really wasn't in the mood for an origin of the virus story. I wish they would have just cut to this as soon as Joel heard about it on the radio. I cringed seeing that fungus I assume pulled from that corpse's throat. That was just disgusting and it looked awful. There is no medicine. There is no vaccine. That's terrifying, and the only solution is to start bombing the country. Wow. I actually appreciated that. This exchange of dialogue almost changed my mind about the origin story being here, but I still think it should have been in that first episode, honestly. I laughed at Joel's line, anything bad in here? Just you, when he says that to Ellie. I thought that was hilarious. I thought it was a decent opening. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, not really a fan of this from starting where it does. I mean, recap aside, like you said, Nico, it felt misplaced. After the ending to episode 1 we saw, I wanted to be with Joel and his crew. Like, to me, we have enough moving parts of characters we're trying to learn without having to worry about this Indonesian professor. That's a great place where you said, put it after Joel's hearing the news on the radio. Show us then, fine. You could have also helped lengthen that one so you could split it into 2 episodes. But when she cut into the dead lady's leg, I hated that. I hate watching surgeries and incisions. They don't make me queasy and I don't have to look away, but I just don't like it. That was one of the biggest reasons I stopped pursuing a career in the medical field. I can skin a buck with no problem, but I do not want to cut into a human. Anyway, this is good backstory to show us how things have developed and progressed, but I don't know. Like I said, it just feels misplaced. I found myself not caring and wanting to get back to our group. We get our first game of zombies entrance, we get our first quit saying it. Saying we're finally back with Joel on the other side of it. But for whatever reason, I just found myself not caring that much. I'm having a hard time getting invested in the show to this point, and I can't pinpoint why. I think here it might have to do with the fact that we didn't start with them after, like I said, after what we saw at the end of episode 1. Maybe it hurt my interest by not picking right back up with them.
Yeah, I get that. When Ellie walks back into the room, the rude little asshole tosses the magazine at the two and maintains that she is still not infected. Ellie begins eating a chicken sandwich Marlene packed for her when Tess demands to know her importance, threatening to leave without her. Ellie admits that there's a Firefly camp out west that is developing a vaccine. Joel, still completely doubtful, suggests again that they take her back, but Tess narrowly convinces him to follow through with the current plan because, while she is still doubtful over Ellie's immunity, she maintains that the Fireflies will still give them supplies and things they need. When Joel agrees, Ellie starts acting like a zombie and deserves to get punched right in her fucking face. They head out, and Ellie is captivated by the ruins. They quickly realize their path to the Massachusetts State House is blocked by a crumbling building, and Joel gives the ultimatum: the long way or the short way. That's what I can only give my wife the short way. Tess and Ellie wish to go the long way. No, typical women. And Joel make the call to check the hotel first. On their way, Ellie tells Tess that she got bit after sneaking off to an abandoned mall alone. She reveals that she's a 14-year-old orphan and confesses her previous belief that the outside world was saturated with hordes of infected, and asks about the infected possibly using echolocation when an ominous scream distracts the group. Joel prompts them to keep moving, however, and they reach the hotel lobby, which is flooded, and Ellie notifies them that she cannot swim, because of course she can't, she sucks. The water turns out to be shallow, and Ellie continues to fuck around in the flooded lobby until we get a jump scare by a skeleton and the group continues up the stairs. The hallway is blocked, so Tess climbs into a narrow opening in the blockage to open a nearby door from the inside. Joel tries to make small talk with Ellie as they await Tess, but like everyone watching, instantly becomes really fucking annoyed by her. Thankfully, Tess interrupts us and we end the set of scenes.
Yeah, is that beef jerky? Because that stuff they were eating looked like an old toothbreaker, and I'm not trying to eat that tough-ass beef jerky. Intense dialogue exchange and the rundown setting adds to its aura. Like, I really like that part. But like you mentioned, Brian, and this isn't just an Ellie thing. Like, Carl annoyed me in season 2 of Walking Dead, but Ellie just continues to annoy me with this fake spasming. I'm assuming she's annoying in the game too. Maybe. I don't know. But that doesn't fix how much I dislike her character so far. This rundown city they're in does look awesome in the daylight. And again, I asked to someone who knows better than me, is Ellie's character supposed to be this annoying? And was she really the best choice for this character? Because I don't think she's a very good actress so far. But then again, that could just be the writing of her being annoying as hell. More good review talk, but Ellie continues to annoy the hell out of me. Stay focused on the mission. Why are you ringing the bell and pretending you're getting a hotel? Like, this is just unnecessary. This entire dialogue exchange between Ellie and Joel did nothing for me. I'd rather Tess just go scope things out, the two nod off or something, and Tess return. Like, I don't know if Ellie talks and I just get annoyed. Overlook of the city was a cool shot, and the explanation of the fungus by Tess is truly terrifying. This fungal infection is nothing to play with, like a sprained ankle, and it's a lot scarier than the other type of infections we've seen in other horror cinema. Like, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of how the infected look, but I do appreciate the difference with the fungus thing. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, so when they head out, I'm hopeful that maybe some action will happen and it'll grab my attention and help me lock back in. The set design, really cool. I will give them that. I love when movies and shows let us see what the Earth will be like when Mother Nature takes it back. That's one thing that The Walking Dead didn't do enough of to me, and things like I Am Legend did a great job at. I love it. While they're walking, I thought to myself, man, this little kid has quite the potty mouth. She hit the F-word quota by herself. Then I thought, wait, she's 14. So her parents are no better than Lori Grimes. Who has a kid 6 years into a zombie apocalypse? It's a responsibility, people. I do like that they have a gauge of how long the infected can live. They don't seem to be immortal. I like that. They're on the move here, so that means more tension, so I'm more invested than I was.
We open up on a balcony, and Tess shows them a large group of infected lying on the ground together in their path to the State House. Tess explains to Ellie that most of them were deep inside the buildings at one point, and when people started seeking to reach the quarantine zone, would go into the buildings to find shelter, they would often get bitten. Tess also explains that the fungus grows underground, with fibers growing miles long. Thus, disturbing one patch of cordyceps could awaken another one miles away. She informs Ellie that although she may be immune from the infection, she is not immune from being ripped apart by the horde. They quickly decide they must take the short way, the museum. The three enter the museum, and Tess tries to convince himself and Joel that the man attacked outside was because an indoor attack of this type implied something more sinister. Joel basically tells them to shut the hell up the rest of the time in the museum, but they're women, so come on. Sorry, Dustin wrote that part in my notes. They carry on to the room at the top of the floor, and stairway caves in on itself as soon as they make it through. They maintain their silence when they hear an ominous clicking sound. A clicker walks out of the adjacent room, and Joel mouths to Ellie, "They can't see." They can't see, but they can hear. I don't know why I started whispering that. The clicker stumbles next to them, and Ellie lets out a gasp, alerting it, of course, this fucking bitch. This prompts Joel to unload his assault rifle on the clicker, which does fuck all. As he fights off the clicker, the second one charges. Tess and Ellie run away, but they trip over a mannequin, because god damn it. After some back and forth, Joel is indeed able to kill both clickers with the assault rifles. Joel stays doing everything in this thing. They wrap Tess's foot, and Tess basically tells him to shut the fuck up and let them get a win as Joel starts in with his negativity. And the next set of scenes is the ending.
What's
Quit
up?
editing my notes, Dustin.
It sounded like his penmanship in there. I laughed at Joel, Marlene pack you one of these in regards to a flashlight or just sandwiches. I thought that was funny. Like, that was some nice comedic relief. I'm going to compliment the show. I think the set pieces look incredible. Like, I think we all can agree on that. The tension is getting thick, but it's hard to submerge myself into it knowing Pedro and Bella are in every episode. Like I mentioned earlier, this would have been intense seeing this on the weekly release, and I got to keep reminding myself that, like, put myself in a different mindset because it can affect it. Good Lord, Tess, keep your eyes in front of you. What are you doing? Tripping over damn it. Goodness. Not trying to be a hater, but the infected look pretty damn dumb and goofy. Would it be scary in real life? Sure, but this looks like a zombie flower. But I was talking to Dustin about this. I'm sure it does look better in the video game, but on screen it just didn't do much for me. Can't really blame Joel for using that ammo on the infected. That was pure fear and adrenaline. I can't blame him for unloading the clip. I mean, Rick did that in season 2 of The Walking Dead as well. Joel and ladies twisting their ankles, am I right? Ellie, well, I didn't shit my pants. Who wrote this character? Who wrote this dialogue? Oh, Lord. Tense set of scenes that help pick the episode up, but it's just, Go ahead, Dustin.
Very tense when they enter the building and see a dead guy. Then Ellie, steps on that wrist, and we hear rumbling from upstairs and see how the dirt fall. I love that. I thought that was really good. It added to the suspense. And then we see one. Let's go. I also like the revelation that they can't see, but they can hear. I think that's a nice touch. But also, it makes it easier to stay alive to me. It's like A Quiet Place. Also, I'm not sure which monsters are uglier, these mushroom-headed zombies or the aliens from A Quiet Place. Great action as they take out the 2 shroom heads. When Ellie says, jury's still out, that's how I feel. It's very well made, like I said, but for whatever reason, at this point, I'm still just not loving it, and I'm ready for the end of this episode.
Well, here it is. They make their way up to the road in front of the State House, where a container truck is parked and waiting to transport Ellie. Joel becomes suspicious when no one comes out to meet them and checks the truck only to find the driver dead underneath it. Tess draws her gun and runs inside with Ellie, where they find the rest of the Fireflies all dead as well. Joel turns over one of them and finds fungi growing on his face. A horrified Tess starts checking the bodies, claiming that one of them must have a map or something that points the way to this Firefly camp. When Joel finally loses his patience and says they must go home now, Tess tells them that this is their home now, and Ellie immediately picks up on and realizes that she's infected, to which Tess reveals the bite mark. Man, that sucks too, because like I said, Tess is my favorite character in this. As Joel tries to process what's happening, Tess orders Ellie to take her bandage off, revealing that her bite mark from earlier has completely healed. Tess instructs Joel to go find Bill and Frank and force them to transport Ellie, telling him that he has a responsibility to save whoever he can. Suddenly, one of the seemingly dead Fireflies wakes up and Joel shoots him dead without hesitating. Tendrils wrap around his hands, and the connection the fibers share alerts the infected horde, which starts dashing towards the State House. Tess grabs a discarded weapon and starts knocking over fuel drums and scattering grenades, telling Ellie that she will make sure that the infected cannot follow them. Joel grabs Ellie's arm and drags her out of the State House by force as the horde storms the building. Tess tries to start her lighter, but the flame keeps fizzling out. An infected man corners her and lets the tendrils in her mouth enter hers, sealing them in a kiss. As Tess feels her mind slowly being overcome by cordyceps infection, she keeps trying to strike the lighter until it finally starts up, dropping it. She uses her last moment of free will to close her eyes as the building goes up in a sea of flames. Joel and Ellie are outside when the building explodes. They see infected stumbling outside, burning to death in a pretty cool scene. A cool visual, I mean, as Joel keeps his rifle aimed at them. Eventually, he lowers it and walks away without saying a word as Ellie remains behind, looking at him.
Yeah, a beautiful camera shot behind the two as they climb down that rickety ladder. I thought the color saturation was on point and looked beautiful. Nice reveal that I didn't see coming was that Tess was infected. And like you mentioned, Brian, I like Tess's character too, so it sucks she's gone already. But she's not fucking around here. All this fuel and grenades. It's going to be like the 4th of July in here soon. But she's annoying the hell out of me with this lighter. Like, are you kidding me right now? This thing won't light. Oh, my God. And why would you let this creature tongue kiss you like this? Goodness, that was disgusting. Great job by the stunt team. The building explosion I thought looked great. And I wrote this down, but I've already kind of mentioned it. I thought it was a decent episode, but honestly, if we weren't doing the show, I don't know if I'd keep going or not. I'm just not super invested yet.
That's fair. More great looks at the city overgrown with foliage. More good tension as Joel starts looking in vehicles and they follow the blood trail. But Tess needs to chill out. That's not my effing home. Okay, lady. Like Sean Hunter's dad said in Joe Dirt, home is where you make it. Then we get a major plot twist, or a major twist. Tess is infected. Let's go. Now I am invested. I needed something big to happen, and this is colossal. And another big one when we see that Ellie's arm is already healing. The girl's a kid, Wolverine. Insane scene when all the bodies came alive and started running. Tess made a nice gesture by setting the trap. But what would have been even nicer is if she had given Joel and Ellie her bag. I mean, any and all extra supplies would help. That was weird to me. Very odd scene when the dude with the grass growing out of his mouth went in for a Frencher. Okay. Really solid end into the episode, and now I am locked in. Finally. I give this one a 7, though, all things considered, because it took a long time to get there.
Yeah, for sure. You guys got anything else before we move on to episode 3?
I do not.
I don't.
Well, here's a word from our sponsors. Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 3, Long, Long Time. All right, bear with me. I have a lot of scene by scene here. 10 miles west of Boston, on the morning after Tessa's death, Joel walks alongside the riverside before returning to meet Ellie at a nearby campsite. Joel ignores Ellie's attempts to start a conversation, leading her to raise the topic of Tessa's death, because of course she can't shut the fuck up. She points out that Tess and Joel made the choice to escort her for their own selfish reasons. That's true. Therefore, he should not even be blaming her for what happened. Joel does not respond, and they continue on their 5-hour hike to Bill and Frank's house. During the relatively uneventful hike, Ellie notices his gunshot wound to his head and asks about it, but Joel leaves out the truth. They arrive at the abandoned Cumberland Farms gas station, which, by the way, the logo that they used in the show was wrong, because it didn't even come out with that logo until later. But anyway, where Joel stored one of his stashes years before. Ellie excitedly fools around with a broken Mortal Kombat 2 arcade machine. Finish him. Claiming a friend taught her about the game. While Joel searches for a stash, Ellie looks for any items missed by the scavengers, and she finds a door to a cellar in a back room. So, of course, she climbs down to find the shelves empty, save for a box of tampons, which she eagerly grabs. Could have done without that. Her excitement is interrupted by the screech of an infected, however, it proves harmless as it's trapped. Still alive underneath a pile of rubble. Ellie approaches it with her knife and makes a cut along its forehead, exposing the cordyceps grown beneath the skin. With a bit of a dark side, she stabs the knife into the infected's head, killing it. She returns to Joel, who has found his stash, without telling him what happened. To her disappointment, Joel chooses to leave behind the rifle they stole from Lee, as he is unlikely to find ammunition for it in the wild. He then once again refuses to let Ellie take it. I mean, I would have let her just have it, especially without the bullets, but whatever. The pair continue their walk, and Ellie notices a crashed plane, and we realize by her excitement that, oh yeah, she has no idea about the concept of flying through the air. Joel shuts down her excitement, noting flying was never pleasant, and those who were on board the plane at the time would agree. She inquires about the events of Outbreak Day, which she never learned about in Fedra school. Joel explains when cordyceps mutated to infect humans, it got into the food supply, and we talked about that in episode 1 with the flour and the sugar, and then into some widely distributed products which hit the shelves on Thursday, September 25th, 2003. As a population aided over the course of the following Friday, they started to get sick before eventually being influenced to violently attack others and spread the fungus. And, quote, by Monday, everything was gone. Joel stops Ellie, suggesting they take a different route because of something disturbing along the path, and Ellie brushes him off, only to see what he was referring to, a mass grave full of skeletal remains. Joel explains during the week following the outbreak, the government evacuated small towns with the promise of taking them to the quarantine zones. However, if the quarantine zones filled up, random citizens, most of whom likely were not infected, were murdered by the soldiers. The logic, Joel explains, was that by killing them, it meant they would not become infected. We flash back to Outbreak Day, where we see what Joel was referring to, as we also see a bearded man watching in a sub-basement bunker. And apparently he has something against the NWO, but I don't know what Nash Hall ever did to him. The bearded man is Bill, played by Nick Offerman, and we see him hook up his trailer and truck and fill up on gas. Jesus Christ, somebody else talk.
Beautiful nature shots where Joel is stacking these rocks by a creek. This episode was shot in Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And from all the pictures I've seen, that place is just beautiful, has stunning scenery. But I was thinking the same thing, Joel. Ellie, you never shut the hell up. Oh, my God, stop asking questions. Can I just think and just enjoy the peace and quiet for a second? This infected that's trapped under all the debris, I thought was hilarious. And I'd just be begging for someone to put me out of my misery at this point. But I'm going to compliment the makeup team again. This trapped person, I think, looks incredible. Great job to them. Ellie continues to annoy me. You can't have a gun. What is she doing? And what a horrific scene. All these skeletons on the ground knowing they weren't even infected. Like, that's horrifying. Like, again, we got two antagonists, the soldiers, the infected. Another jump back 20 years. Hopefully the payoff is worth it. And I wrote this before I knew it wasn't worth it, in my opinion. And I know Dustin is just ready to say how much I hate nonlinear storytelling, when that's not the case at all. Bill getting that premium gas since no one can stop him. Hell yeah, brother. I thought it was just a pretty meh opening, but maybe Bill can liven up this next set of scenes. Ooh.
Yeah, more great looks at nature and the uninhabited earth to start here. Ellie annoyed me so much when they went into that store. First, her nonstop yapping, and then crawling into the hole she found. What a moron. It really reminded me of Carl when he found the walker with his foot stuck in the creek. They're not toys, kids. Like, leave it alone and go back. And then, I'll just keep it short and sweet. Nick Offerman, let's go. Show just got infinitely better.
Oh, here we go again. We open up with Bill whipping his truck into a trailer in an abandoned Home Depot where he stocks up on lumber, generators, and other equipment. We see him set up an electrified fence and various other traps along the perimeter to protect himself, obviously. Having built a fully self-sufficient compound with running water, gas stove, heating, and electricity, he prepares a fancy steak dinner for himself, complete with wine pairing, and watches with glee on a security camera as an infected is killed by one of his traps. 4 years later, in 2007, the man is doing some welding in his basement when he notices one of his pit traps outside the fence has been activated. Walking out with a gun to put down its victim, he is surprised to hear a human voice call out from inside the trap that he is not infected. The man in the pit, who eventually reveals his name is Frank, explains that he is unarmed and just trying to get to Boston. Frank's eventually helped out of the pit, but his request for food is denied. The man claims, "Every bum you talk to about it is going to show up here looking for a free lunch, and this is not an Arby's." Bill finally relents and lets Frank come into his house, letting him take a hot shower and giving him a new set of clothes. The two share some bonding, to put it lightly, and after about 8 minutes of screen time, Frank calls Bill out on being gay and the two share a kiss. Bill finally tells him his name, and Frank tells him, "Go get a shower, because it's time for a sword fight."
Weird tonal shift as we... God damn it. All right, sorry. Weird tonal shift as we get this upbeat score. This bearded guy pulling a boat all over town for whatever reason, doing some country boy shit. You know what? Hell yeah. And that backstrap Bill Cook looked amazing. Perfect medium rare, the way a man is supposed to eat it. 4 years later, alrighty. I hate to come across as a hater, but what are we doing here with this guy? Yes, not eating in 2 days is a long time, Frank. You're allowed to feel hungry. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, I guess this is a rough time where you don't eat every day, but man, after 2 days, I'd be starving. Frank went from trapped in a hole in the ground to some fine dining. Hell yeah, bro. This is a good roller coaster of emotions for you right now. Good review talk, but Frank kind of looks like Bill Moseley. I don't know if y'all thought that or not, but I was like, damn, that looks like younger Bill Moseley. I haven't seen a kiss this steamy since Noah and Allie in The Notebook when they hooked back up on that damn dock in the rain. Goodness. And goddamn, Bill, Frank got you whipped already, giving you orders to go take a shower. Whew, that was crazy. But that's all I got. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, just like Ron Swanson, he goes to Home Depot, then grabs some booze, and then starts chopping wood. He's not even acting. That's just him.
I know more than you.
Man's built quite the paradise here. I'll give him that. That's awesome. I like Frank. He was funny. And I know Bill was reluctant, but it had to be nice to, at least have some company for a brief moment. And, nothing to get two fellas in the mood for some raucous lovemaking like some Linda Ronstadt. Interesting developments in this episode.
Okay, so despite what the notes say here that we actually start with Bill and Frank doing the no pants dance. Then we jump to 2010 and we see Bill and Frank arguing over Frank's desire to fancy up the compound because he wants to, quote, have friends over. Bill scoffs that they do not have friends, only for Frank to reveal that he's been talking to a nice woman on the radio. And the nice woman is revealed to be a younger Tess, who, along with Joel, joins Bill and Frank for a pleasant lunch to discuss partnering on a smuggling operation. Frank and Tess immediately hit it off while Bill keeps his gun on the table. Joel understands Bill's paranoia, but he argues that he and Tess are probably Bill and Frank's best option for people to let into their home. Bill claims that he and Frank are self-sufficient and do not need Joel and Tess, nor what they can offer, which is right. Joel points out Bill's electric fence is already starting to rust and offers to get some long-lasting wire to help him and Frank protect it. My man is trying to used car salesman, this guy. The meeting ends well, with Frank proposing a music-based radio code to Tess, suggesting 80s music could signal trouble. Joel tells Bill that Federal will not come looking for them and the fence and traps are more than sufficient to deal with the affected, but he should be mindful of raiders. Bill assures Joel that he and Frank will be fine. Cut to 2013, and the outer fence has been even more fortified with stronger traps and a wall of cars, and we see Frank takes Bill on a run through town to show him a surprise he prepared. A garden of strawberries he planted using seeds provided by Joel and Tess, traded for one of Bill's guns. As they eagerly sample the fresh strawberries, Bill voices concern that he is growing older faster than Frank and that he may have to leave Frank unprotected. Though Frank insists he not worry about that. Bill remarks that he was never afraid before Frank showed up. One rainy night, a group of raiders attempt to ambush the compound, and we see them pretty much get fucked up. Bill ventures outside in the pouring rain with a rifle to defend the compound but gets shot, and Frank drags the injured Bill back into the house like a scene from Tombstone while the traps finish off the raiders. As Frank dutifully tends Bill's wounds, Bill deliriously calls out instructions on how to tend the house and insists Frank call Joel, claiming Joel will be able to protect him in Bill's stead. And that's probably where the scene should end, but we continue on here to see a 10-year time jump with Frank being the one wheeled in the wheelchair.
So at this point, I'm looking at the Internet Movie Database, and these two guys are only in one episode. Why are we focusing so much on their story? Are they an integral part of the game? What happened to Joel delivering Ellie in exchange for a truck battery? Another time jump 4 years later, and I'm still unsure of what we're doing in the grand scheme of things. Tess and Joel are at dinner now, so there's at least a connection to everything, but geez, this episode better have a payoff because this has felt like a whole waste of time so far. 3 years later with these two, and I'm still wondering why we're spending so much time with them. And life sucks when a bite of strawberry is the best thing of your day. Lord, I hope I never have to deal with a zombie apocalypse. But it is cool that they grew their own, fruits and veggies and all that. That's cool, but man, them two dudes were excited as hell to take one bite of a strawberry. And damn, I ain't never seen a tripwire do something like this. Bill done set the whole woods and the whole damn neighborhood on fire. And this is the last thing I got, Dustin. 10 years later, and Bill, who got shot, is somehow the one pushing Frank in the wheelchair. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but seeing Frank sitting in the bed waiting for Bill, that was hilarious to me. And also, we've covered sex scenes before on this show, but this has to be the hairiest one, right? Like it's like watching two grizzly bears fornicate. My goodness. I know their chest hair was about to start a fire with all that friction. I like the progression and showing how Joel and Tess met Bill and Frank. I think that's great. Then Frank planted a field of death. I'm allergic to strawberries. I'd much rather have the gun. Good tension when Frank is woken up by the gunfire and the infected trying to get through the fence. So, yeah, you're right, Brian. We did see one. It was nighttime. We didn't get a good look at it. It's good side quest stories that I actually cared about, and it's a good set of scenes.
We realize that Frank has some unspecified illness that affects his motor skills and spends most of his day painting, while Bill takes care of the outdoor shit. Frank finally declares that he no longer wishes to suffer in pain and that he is ready to die. Bill proposes finding a doctor, but Frank knows that this would be futile. Even if they had the medical equipment a doctor could use, Frank's illness had no cure even before the outbreak. They agree to get married, and Frank tells him how he wants to commit suicide. Bill does what Frank requests and even serves his longtime partner the exact meal of rabbit and wine they first had the first day they met all those years ago. When the time comes for post-dinner wine, Bill mixes the crushed pills into a glass, which Frank gulps down quickly. Bill then pours himself a glass that he gulps down with the same speed. Frank, surprised, realizes Bill had already put a lethal dose of pills in the wine bottle, and Bill refuses to let their story end tragically with one of them alone, pointing out that he is also old and ready to go, not seeing any reason to continue living without Frank, and they both head to bed to die. And the next set of scenes is the ending.
Yeah, I don't have a lot here, Dustin. Just giving you a heads up. These two fellows look rough. I got to commend them surviving this long in a zombie apocalypse. Like, it is impressive. Like, shout out to them. All this couple stuff is fine, but in the context of the show, I'm still oblivious to why we're focusing so much on them. And like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, I've seen reviews on IMDb that say this episode shows one aspect that other zombie flicks don't, and that's vulnerability, hope, joy, etc. And that's fine if you feel that way about this episode, but to me, it just feels like a waste of an episode so far. I feel like that way in Walking Dead, too. I guess I'm just a glass half empty, bleak asshole. But anywho, last thing I got, not much on this set of scenes, but, I'm just ready for the ending. Go ahead, Dustin.
Yeah, big gut punch when Bill said it was his last day. I didn't expect to meet a character, go this in depth with, introducing them, and then them to die so soon, especially when infecteds aren't even involved. Impossible ask from Frank to tell Bill to basically kill him. Like, put yourself in Bill's shoes. That the person you love saying, "I can't do this anymore, kill me." That's tough. Really powerful stuff watching their last day together. I thought it was really well done. And even more powerful was the revelation that Bill took the pills too. Like, my God, who's cutting onions? That's love right there. And I don't know. And now I'm wondering how it'll play out when Joel and Ellie get there to find that there's no one there to greet them. I'm ready for the end.
It is really beautiful. I'm trying to block Nico's fucking camera. But it is really beautiful that, I forgot what I was going to fucking say now, dude. Never mind. Forget it. Forget it. It is really beautiful. He was a doomsday preparer. He made this bunker, got everything together, and never had any intention of anybody ever coming into his life. And so when he finally did, he grew so immensely as a person and further than he ever thought that he would. So losing that relationship, it is really beautiful. I would feel the same way. I would not want to live on either. But all right, here's the ending here. Weeks pass. Lincoln's become overgrown with neglect. Joel and Ellie arrive at the compound to find the house seemingly empty, though Joel notices the bedroom is locked. Ellie looks around the house, noticing the rotting remains of Bill and Frank's last meal. I mean, Jesus, those fuckers couldn't even have at least cleaned up their shit first. She finds a letter Bill left for Joel, which she reads aloud. In the note, Bill explains his and Frank's bodies are in the bedroom, which he discourages Joel from inspecting as he imagines it's quite a sight. Although they left the window open so it would not stink up the house. He explains he used to hate the world and was happy when it ended, only to find the purpose in one person worth saving, Frank. He tells Joel that people like the two of them have the duty to protect one person worth saving and offers Joel all of his weapons and equipment so that he can keep Tess safe. Talk about cutting onions. Briefly overcome with emotion, Joel runs out of the house and has a tearful moment to himself outside. Joel heads to the garage where he finds Bill's truck and the supplies he needs for a fresh battery. He heads back inside and asks to see Ellie's bite mark. Seeing for himself that it is healed as well, he explains that they can go to Wyoming to meet his brother Tommy, who used to be part of the Fireflies and can help her get back to the lab. They rummage through the rest of the house, and Ellie finds Frank's gun in a drawer and hides it in her backpack. The two take Bill's truck and drive away from the compound listening to Linda Ronstadt, and that's the ending of this long fucking episode that we probably should have done by itself, like I said.
And the funny thing is, I only have 5 bullet points here, so I don't have much, Dustin. Oh, look, Joel and Ellie are back. The two integral parts of the story. Maybe we can get back on track now. I laughed at the line in the letter, "I never liked you, but I guess we're friends." I thought that was hilarious. Honestly surprised Bill and Frank had toilet paper after 20 years. I know it was just the two of them, but they didn't have an infinite supply of it, and that's the kind of review talk you get from me on this show. Ellie is off to a great start listening to Joel I see as she rummages through the truck in the cassette player. I thought it was a cool camera shot as it pans away back into the house, but wow, this felt like a whole waste of an hour and 16 minutes. Respectfully, of course, if you love it.
Well, I said I'm curious how it'll play out when Joel and Ellie get there to find that no one's there. Well, we find out. Joel and Ellie get there, and they're dead. I love that Bill had some sense of humor in his letter to Joel. Like, I legit laughed when, the stuff that he wrote in there. That's good. Driving from Massachusetts to Wyoming with Ellie sounds like literal hell.
Yes.
No chance I could do that. But also, I'm not going to let it slide. I've bit my tongue on it this whole show, but I love how it's 20 years later and the gas is still good. Oh, yeah, very likely, of course. But all in all, like I said, this was my favorite episode. I think it was the best one. I gave this episode a 9. A lot of heart.
To be fair, Bill probably had some fuel enhancer because he was prepared. That Joker was prepared. If anybody's going to do it, I would believe that dude would.
Yeah, I'm not buying.
I got a couple pieces of trivia. Do you guys have any?
I do not. Go ahead.
No, sir.
Well, let me read some more, by God.
There you go.
Lincoln's mandatory evacuation notice seen in the town square for Fedra are trucking away civilians is almost an exact copy from the game, albeit with an altered date. Bill's letter to Joel mirrors Frank's letter in the game. Joel even crumples up the letter just like Bill did. The ending shot of the open window in Bill and Frank's bedroom is a reference to the open window from the main menu of the game. And originally, Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann considered opening every episode with a different view of a unique open window to represent the feeling of hope and loss players may associate with the image from the game, and replace the skip intro button that appears in the streaming services with a press play in a kind of a nod to the game. But although different shots of an open window were filmed during the production, including this one used in this episode, the concept was eventually dropped as the co-creators decided it was not really work. And like I mentioned in the scene by scene, the Cumberland Farms logo used in this episode was not introduced until 2009.
All righty. Y'all got any final thoughts on these 2 episodes?
I hope that they continue to build on what they did in this episode. I mean, I know they're not going to be able to with Frank and Bill, but I'm talking about with how well it's written. Otherwise, I'm going to have a hard time locking back in, especially when I know we're about to be on a cross-country road trip with Ellie.
Yeah, that is hell. But anywho, we're going to be taking a week off of the series to celebrate Brian's birthday. Woo! But we'll be back in 2 weeks with episodes 4 and 5. We appreciate y'all tuning in. I'm sorry if I've upset any of the Last of Us fans. Matt, please don't hate me. But maybe these last 6 episodes get better. I don't know, but I'm just not super locked in yet.
Happy early birthday, Brian. 67 never looked so good.
I'm in my prime, motherfucker.
Thank you so much, everybody. I'll see you next week. And in the meantime, take care of yourself.
Just want to remind everybody,